Hi everyone. Now let's deal with history. Chapter 1, Tracing Changes Through 1,000 Years. Okay, let's begin the chapter. Yes. Take a look at the maps 1 and 2. Map 1 was made in 1154 CE by the Arab geographer Al-Idrisi. The section reproduced here is a detail of the Indian subcontinent from his larger map of the world. Map 2 was made in the 1720s by a French cartographer. The two maps was quite different even though they are of the same area. So, by looking into the two maps, we can conclude that both of these maps differ even though they show same area. Map 1 was made in 1154 CE by Arab geographer Al-Idrisi. What is CE? Last year we have discussed it. CE stands for Common Era. Okay. Map 2 was made in 1720 by a French cartographer. What do we mean by a cartographer? The answer is cartographer is a person who makes maps. What do we mean by cartographer? Cartographer is a person who makes map. Got it? Yes. In Al-Idrisi's map, South India is where we would expect to find North India and Sri Lanka is the island at the top. Place names are marked in Arabic and there are some well-known names like Kanuj in Uttar Pradesh. Map 2 was made nearly 600 years after Map 1, during which the time information about the subcontinent had changed considerably. This map seems more familiar to us and the coastal areas in particular are surprisingly detailed. This map was used by the European sailors and merchants on their voyages. So, in the first map, South India was located towards the North India and Sri Lanka, which is located like an island at the top. And their names were given in Arabic. The second map is more familiar for us. This is much detailed. So, for the travelers, such as European sailors and merchants, they used this second map. Okay. During the time of their voyages, these European sailors and merchants used the second map. Equally important is the fact that the science of cartography differed in the two periods. When historians read documents, maps and texts from the past, they have to be sensitive to the different historical backgrounds, the context in which information about the past was produced. As the map itself indicates that science of cartography differed in two periods. The documents, maps and text will be different on the historical background basis. That is the context. So, this map will differ on the basis of the historical backgrounds. That is known as context. Moving on to our next portion, new and old terminologies. If the context in which information is produced changes with time, what about language and meanings? Historical records exist in a variety of languages which have changed considerably over the years. Medieval Persian, for example, is different from modern Persian. The difference is not just with regard to grammar and vocabulary. The meanings of the words also change over time. So, we have discussed that context will change according to the time. Now let's discuss about language and meanings. These historical records are of variety of languages. They change over time. Okay. For example, medieval Persian is different from that of the modern Persian. It's not only the grammar and vocabulary, the meanings may also vary. Moving on to our next portion, new and old terminologies. If the context in which information is produced changes with time, what about language and meanings? Historical records exist in a variety of languages which have changed considerably over the years. Medieval Persian, for example, is different from modern Persian. The difference is not just with regard to grammar and vocabulary. The meanings of the words also change over time. So we have discussed that context will change according to the time. Now let's discuss about language and meanings. These historical records are of variety of languages. They change over time. Okay, for example, medieval Persian is different from that of the modern Persian. It's not only the grammar and vocabulary, the meanings may also vary. Take the term Hindustan. For example, today we understand it as India, the modern nation state. When the term was used in the 13th century by Minhaj-i-Siraj, a chronicler who wrote in Persian, he meant the areas of Punjab, Haryana and the lands between the Ganga and Yamuna. He used the term in a political sense for lands that were a part of the dominions of the Delhi Sultan. The areas included in this term shifted with the extent of the Sultanate, but the term never included South India. Let's discuss about the term Hindustan. By this term we will understand it as India. But in 13th century, Minhaj-i-Siraj, he was a chronicler and wrote in Persian that Hindustan means Punjab, Haryana and lands between Ganga and Yamuna. That is the land under the control of Delhi Sultan. So it does not include South India. By contrast, in the early 16th century, Babur used Hindustan to describe the geography, the fauna and the culture of the inhabitants of the subcontinent. As we will see later in this chapter, this was somewhat similar to the way the 14th century poet Amir Khusraw used the word Hind. While the idea of geographical and cultural entity like India did exist, the term Hindustan did not carry the political and national meanings which we associate with it today. So, in early 16th century, Babur used the term Hindustan to describe geography, fauna and the culture of the inhabitants. And it was similar to the way 14th century poet Amir Khusraw used the word Hind. So nowadays, the term Hindustan does not include a political and a national meaning. That is, by the term Hindustan, we will just understand it as India. So a question can be asked from this portion. The question is, in what ways has the meaning in the term Hindustan changed over the centuries? The question is, in what ways has the meaning in the term Hindustan changed over the centuries? Okay, got it? Yes, now the answer is we have to write 3 points. The first point is about the Minhaj-i-Siraj description of Hindustan in the year 13th century. In 13th century, Minhaj-i-Siraj described Hindustan as a Punjab, Haryana and the lands between the Ganga and Yamuna, as these are the part of the dominions of Delhi Sultan, isn't it? So he described such part as a Hindustan and South India was not included in that. So this is the first point. So what happened in 13th century? We have to describe that. The second point is, in the 16th century, Babur used Hindustan to describe the geography, the fauna and the culture of the inhabitants of the subcontinent. So this is the second point. So we have to describe what happened in 16th century. Okay, so this is the second point. Now coming to the third point. Today, what do you mean by Hindustan? It is just India. There is no political or national meaning for that word, isn't it? So this is the third point. Okay, so first one in the 13th century, second one in the 16th century and the third point about today. Okay, so this is the answer for the question. In what ways has the meaning in the term Hindustan changed over centuries? Okay. Historians today have to be careful about the terms they use because they meant different things in the past. Take for example a simple term foreigner. It is used today to mean someone who is not an Indian. In the medieval period, a foreigner was any stranger who appeared, say, in a given village, someone who was not a part of that society or culture. In Hindi, the term Paradeshi might be used to describe such a person, and in Persian, Ajnabi. A city dweller therefore might have regarded a forest dweller as a foreigner. But two peasants living in the same village were not foreigners to each other, even though they may have had different religious or caste backgrounds. So, because of these reasons, the historian should be very careful to use each term as they have different meanings in the past. So far we have discussed about the term Hindustan. Now let's discuss on the term foreigner. Now the term foreigner means a person who is not an Indian, isn't it? But in the medieval period, the term refers to a stranger. In Hindi, we use the term Paradeshi to describe such a person, and also in Persian, Ajnabi. Both these words have the same meaning. So, for a city dweller, a forest dweller will be a foreigner, but the two peasants living in the same village were not foreigners. So, here a question is there: who was considered as the foreigner in the past? I repeat, who was considered as the foreigner in the past? Got it? Yes. The answer is, in the medieval period, a foreigner was any stranger who appeared, say, in a given village, someone who was not a part of that society or culture. So, such a person is known as foreigner. Such a person was considered as foreigner in the past. Got it? Yes. And also similarly, we can also answer to a question: why historians should be careful about the terms? Why? Historians have to be careful about the terms because they meant different things in the past. Their meaning, even the grammar and vocabulary was different in past than today's, isn't it? So historians have to be very careful about the terms. So students, we will discuss the remaining portion of the chapter in next video. All of you subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you will get the notification of next video. See you soon. Thank you.